If you want to figure out the best third-row SUV for my family, you don't need to go to CarGurus for that. You go to ChatGPT and it's going to answer that question. You don't need to go watch YouTube videos anymore.
Corey, it's great to see you, good to catch up.
Likewise, always.
For the benefit of the audience and the dealers that are out there, why don't you introduce yourself? You've got a great background, serial entrepreneur, been successful, but bring everybody up to speed so everybody knows who we're talking to today.
So I'm Corey Lydstone, the founder and CEO of CarGenius AI. This is my second automotive startup. Before this, I started a company called Autolist.com, ran that for a decade. Part of that was acquired by CarGurus. So we built the company in the last platform shift, which was consumers going from desktop to mobile. We built the leading mobile apps for car shoppers on iOS and Android, grew it to millions of monthly shoppers, learned a lot, had a nice exit to CarGurus, spent some time working inside of marketplaces, and found a lot of problems, honestly. And I had the luxury of some time off after leaving CarGurus to figure out what I wanted to do. And I had some good ideas, some bad ideas. I think I pitched you one, new marketplace idea, which didn't get off the ground, and I'm really glad I didn't, because it was the wrong idea at the wrong time, and stumbled onto what I think is an opportunity to really change the automotive industry with CarGenius AI right now. And we're trying to take and get car dealers directly into large language models as consumers shift their behavior to using an AI to help them find a car. We think it changes the dynamic so fundamentally that there's no need for intermediaries anymore, and the best information comes directly from that car dealer and getting that car dealer directly in touch with the consumer very early in the funnel, and that's what our technology is built to do.
Cool. Well, that's a lot for me to unpack. No, that's okay. A lot for me to unpack. Let's go back to Autolist.
Yes.
Your first entrepreneurial journey. Taking back to the very early days of that, and help me understand, what was the spark that got that started?
Yeah. So I have always either been founding companies or working at startups. A lot of stuff in the real estate space. I was kind of an early developer where I was building products, but quickly transitioned into a product manager. So I was helping customers understand how to use our products and build them with the engineers. So I've always been kind of on the edge of starting new companies or working in companies that are new. And Autolist started from a coffee conversation with a friend of mine. And I was between jobs, I was leaving something and thinking about what I wanted to do next. I had a list of ideas, probably a lot of them bad, probably some of them great, but I had a coffee with a friend who was building a company in the apartment space, and he was doing something.
Now, what year would have this been?
This would have been 2013.
Okay, got it.
2013, and we actually ended up founding Autolist in 2014. So it took a while from coffee conversation to founding.
Now, did that person become an angel investor? Did they invest it all in it?
I built it in his office. So,
oh, wow.
They had this business very creatively called Apartmentlist.com.
Right.
So, and I chose Autolist.com.
Nice.
So just really copying something that was working in another vertical. But I'm also a car guy. Like, I've bought and sold a ton of cars. I love going on Craigslist and finding unique vehicles. And so I knew the pain point of a consumer trying to find a car, and the idea that there were a lot of similarities between how marketplaces at the time were working in rental real estate as well as automotive. It was Classified Ventures was Apartments.com and Cars.com,
sure,
right?
Sure.
So a lot of the partnerships we had became, I could leverage their partnership. So it was an idea, but also it kind of grounded the initial business model and who we could go out and work with. So I used the Apartmentlist offices for a while, and I had me and one engineer where I was on the phone talking to potential partners, trying to get our inventory base together while my partner was building code and shipping the first product.
So the vision that you had for Autolist at the very beginning, how true, when the company actually grew and ultimately sold to CarGurus many years later, how true was it to the vision, or did it change pretty substantially?
I think it stayed pretty much the same. Our goal was to build a better consumer search experience. And initially that meant mobile. We were very focused on mobile and building mobile apps. And really when the reason CarGurus bought us is we still had the leading apps in the App Store. And the guy who was designing my app at Autolist is now designing the app at CarGurus. And I think our brand still exists inside of CarGurus because we built a niche market in that space, just building really strong user experiences in apps. And I think that helped us with a lot of things. It helped us create a good user experience, but it helped us with user acquisition too, because other people weren't looking at mobile. People weren't buying traffic on Facebook because it was harder or it was not converting as well, but we could drive app downloads and we could do so cost effectively, and it helped us grow our audience. So it was multifaceted approach to mobile that helped us understand what this shift was going to do and create opportunities. So I'd say it stayed similar. Lots of things changed along the way. I think we thought we would create a different business model. We had seen what happened to Auto Trader and what we thought was going to happen to CarGurus, which I will paint a picture of. You start to do really well as a marketplace, and all of a sudden your customers don't like you anymore, because you are competing with them for audience and the consumer. And it's in the marketplace's best interest to put their brand forward, not the dealer's brand forward. And that leads to lots of trust problems.
Tension.
It's not just a business model problem, Steve. It's a product problem because you can't collaborate. The marketplace can't and doesn't. The dealers don't want to collaborate with marketplaces because they don't trust what they're going to do when they give them more information or more access. And there's no DMS integrations between marketplaces and marketplaces. Dealers, maybe TrueCar had some, but that led to bad places, I think.
Yeah. So I'll get back to marketplaces in a minute, but let's talk about sort of like the end of that journey. It's hard sometimes for entrepreneurs to get comfortable with giving up their baby.
Yeah.
Talk as much as you can share about what was the process like. Did you instigate it? Was it cold outreach to you? And how did you get comfortable with actually selling the company?
Well, so I'd known the folks from CarGurus for a while. I think one of the important things about being in industry is like getting to know a lot of people and understanding what roles they play in it. So I knew the folks from CarGurus, and I think maybe a year and a half before they acquired us, Jason was in town. He was the CFO at the time in San Francisco.
Who's now the CEO?
He's now the CEO. He was in San Francisco and invited me to dinner and said, "Hey, we're interested in maybe acquiring you guys." So that started the conversation with them coming inbound, but we had an established relationship there. And actually, it took a while for me to get over that. So initially they came in, it was maybe not. But at the time, we were also shifting our business model to what we were calling mostly meta search, where we had other partners we were aggregating inventory from, to working directly with dealers. And we started with a lot of the big guys and we're moving down the funnel and saw what it was required to build the sales force to do that. And honestly started some of the tensions of trying to figure out a new business model when everything just defaults to a subscription. So we kind of saw it going in this direction where it's going to be another version of CarGurus, and they came back and timing made sense.
That's great. Well, congratulations on that. So you talked about marketplaces. You are, if anyone is, an expert. You've studied marketplaces for a long time.
I love marketplaces.
You built one and sold one.
Yep.
So most dealers that are listening today, they'll be spending money on at least 2 marketplaces, I think, if my data is correct. So dealers are using marketplaces today. There are a number of marketplaces to choose from, at least in the US market. What's your perspective on marketplaces? And then maybe use this as a segue to talk about what you think the future of marketplaces are. Because you could have, when you started this new business, you could have started a new marketplace.
Almost did.
Yeah, almost did, but you decided not to. You took a different path. So let's start with what's current state of marketplaces today? How do you think they're going to evolve given all this change with AI? And then we'll use it as a segue to your current company.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, marketplaces are fantastic. Marketplaces are the best place for dealers to advertise for positive ROI right now, because that's where consumers want to be. Consumers are going to the marketplaces, so by going there as a dealer, you're meeting them where they want to be. Now, I think you need the most expensive tier of those packages. You just need to be there, right? And most great dealers, they're buying great inventory for their market, and they have the content, right? And the marketplace is just aggregating that content.
Sure.
So I think that yes, you should be there. Marketplaces provide a ton of ROI today because that's where the consumer audience is, and that's where the consumer wants to shop. What does that look like in the future? Right, I think that's a really interesting thing. That why I didn't start another marketplace is when I built Autolist, consumer acquisition was difficult. It's even more difficult now. Dealers here, marketplaces are seeing their traffic decline because SEO is getting harder. AI answers are coming in. Consumers are going to AI. And what does that mean? And how do you win in that world? And what does winning look like there as a marketplace? And when I start to break down the value created by a marketplace creates trust, transparency, and aggregation, right? And those are all valuable things. And good user experience, right? So, trust, transparency, I think AI is already doing that better, right? Like if you want to figure out the difference between trims or what's the best third row SUV for my family, you don't need to go to CarGurus for that. You go to ChatGPT, and it's going to answer that question. You don't need to go watch YouTube videos anymore. Doing that really, really, really well. And I think the users are putting a lot of trust in that. And you think about how ChatGPT could help you, not just in figuring out which make model you want, but like which dealer to work with and actually which car to buy and how much you should pay. I think consumers are going to trust AI a lot more than what is a good deal or bad deal on CarGurus or cars.com. And I think you start to realize that those good deal and bad deals are also very difficult for, is that a really good deal, right? And like I talk to dealers who spend $2,000 reconditioning a 2-year-old Honda Accord, and their car is a bad deal on CarGurus versus someone down the street whose car needs new tires in 6 months, right? And it's not a good deal. So it's really not trust and transparency. It's just a version of it.
Right.
And a lot of that is what feeds the marketplace, right? So it's better for the marketplace. And this is one of the things I'm excited about CarGenius AI is this thing called feedback loops, right? Are the things I do that are good for my business, good for consumers, good for dealers, and good for the marketplace and good for the AI players, right? I think marketplaces find them in a position where they do stuff that is good for them, but it's not necessarily good for the consumers or good for dealers because they're this intermediary stuck in a weird position. And I'm hopeful in what we're trying to build by creating this direct connection between consumers and dealers is that what's good for us is going to be good for the dealers, and what's good for the dealers is going to be good for the consumers. And it's going to be good for the AI engines too. They don't want to have to spend 7 minutes scraping cars.com and Edmunds to pull back 20 cars when they can hit our MCP endpoint and get that information back in seconds, right? And they don't want to go through third-party intermediaries who don't have all the information. They want more information. They're information hungry. And what these dealers have on their websites is all the information about that vehicle. You can't, simple example, like I want a Carfax report. You can't get that on CarGurus, right? Most dealers have that on their website directly. And we have an integration with Carfax now. So inside of CarGenius AI and the data we're passing to AI agents, we'll have the Carfax report with every dealership, right? So small thing, really important, a lot of value.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that we unpack some of the terminology as well. You just said a term, MCP.
Yes.
So why don't you, for the benefit of the audience, talk about and level set everyone around what is it you're actually building and what is an MCP and why should dealers care?
Yeah, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It's a technology created by Anthropic about 2 years ago now. And they faced a problem trying to connect their AI to a lot of external systems, and they were coding APIs. And those APIs are fragile. If something changes, it breaks, you have to redo it, and you have to do a separate one for every tool you connect to. And they thought there should be a better way. And that better way is MCP. And you can think of it kind of like a API, but instead of having to code to it, the MCP server has context in what it can do. So say there's a Google MCP server for your Gmail. Right? You say, hey, MCP server, what do you do? It's like, oh, I can give you my calendar invites. I can tell you what's on your calendar today. I can create calendar invites for you. It's like, oh, great. Tell me what's on my calendar today. And it'll read back to you what's in your calendar. So it's like you're talking to a computer with natural language and getting back structured information. And it's not just one way. It's not just reading. You can write too. So what we do at CarGenius AI is we create MCP servers for car dealers. It sits on their domain, mcp.dealership.com, and it serves up tools to AI agents to use. There's an inventory search endpoint. There's a dealership information endpoint. Tell me everything about the dealership. There's a vehicle details endpoint. Give me the VDP. And there's a lead endpoint today, which is like, help me communicate with the dealer. And that's all stuff that now AI can do when it connects to this tool. So it doesn't have to come and scrape your website to access your inventory. It doesn't have to guess at what your buying process is because it has that page and it has that information there. So we can integrate a lot more stuff into this too. So we're just starting with some of our early dealerships to integrate their financing process, their trade-in process, and their service department. So I mean, 50% of traffic coming to dealers' website is service, so like that's a big one to get in there. Like today, we can answer a ton of service questions. We can tell you, hey, there's this light on my dash, what does it mean? And the AI is gonna answer that question right away and say, come into here's our finance department, we'll help you with that, right? We'll give you a loan or whatever their policy is, they can spit that right back out, but we wanna go right into scheduling that appointment too, so.
So it sounds like it's kind of a no-brainer. If I'm a dealer and I'm going to conferences like this one, and I'm hearing, oh wow, more consumers are now opting into using ChatGPT, or at least referencing the AI overviews in Google, and making decisions, shopping decisions around, which car to choose, which dealership to choose, which brand to choose as a result. if a dealer isn't, going on the path of using CarGenius to set up a MCP server to make sure their data is more ingestible and visible to these AI chatbots, I'm kind of flying blind, am I not, in some ways?
I think you should 100% be doing this. And one of the things we do as soon as we give this to a dealership, we also attach it to ChatGPT and let them start talking to their dealership. How is AI answering these questions? We actually can deploy to their website as well something we call AI search, where it's ChatGPT on your website. You can ask it any questions. It's not gated by a lead form, and it's not meant to say, hey, come into the dealership. It's meant to answer the consumer's questions and be that authentic experience of being in ChatGPT. We have dealers that we're working with say it's like my dream salesperson, right? We've had it answer questions about like a person who was international. It's like, can I reserve a car? I don't have US credit. And it answers that question really, really well. Gets it to a lead, right? Brings that into the sales department. So that not only gives them that AI infrastructure that puts them in charge, it puts them in the right place for the future, but they get to start to see how consumers interact with AI. And you have no idea what consumers are asking ChatGPT, but you see every query that goes through this thing, and you understand what consumers are asking, how AI responds, what works, what doesn't work. We've seen dealers find stuff where like, hey, the AI is wrong about my buying process. I have a different buying process. And we work in an amazing industry, but there's a lot of things we're still catching up. Like there's websites, like there's a major website provider that their sitemap doesn't include these important pages.
Right.
So like the AI is not seeing that. And like we're seeing that stuff immediately and catching it. So like not only can you understand how AI is seeing your dealership, you can make changes today that are immediately going to have an impact on how AI is seeing you and how Google's seeing you, and hopefully improve how you rank today while you prepare for the future.
Very cool. So let's talk about the future a little bit, because what I'm trying to do if I'm a dealer and I'm processing all of this, right? And I'm thinking, okay, Corey just told me that marketplaces are really efficient in terms of an ROI.
Today.
Spending today, right, exactly. I think this is where you're going, right? And then, but you're telling me, your new company, CarGenius, is going to help a dealer set up an MCP server, make sure that my current data is digestible. So when people start to use these AI chatbots, be it ChatGPT, Anthropic, or even the Google overviews, AI overviews, I have a great chance of showing up and competing in those sort of data ecosystems. What does the future look like? As much as you can look into the crystal ball. So sounds like dealers just 101 need to be embracing, partners like CarGenius to get my data prepared, anticipating that more and more of this traffic, I assume you're going to tell me, is going to be coming from AI chatbots. But let's fast forward 5 years. Like where is the puck going here? And then, more boldly, more aggressively, for those dealers that want to embrace that future, what should they be doing?
So I think the question is how soon this happens is dictated by how soon dealers act on this, right? So if you do nothing today, the current paradigm is a consumer goes and runs a search on ChatGPT, it scrapes Edmunds, it scrapes cars.com, that's its source of finding information, because car dealers really don't have MCP servers yet, right? As car dealers do this, if we move quickly, and part of what we're doing is putting all those together. So it's not just your dealership has an MCP server, it's every dealership has one, and we standardize how you can search across it. So if I want a gray 911, it knows that Chalk is going to match that, and it runs those queries across all the dealerships. That whole aggregation layer becomes really easy for AI to use. It starts to use this instead because it's better. It's not just like different, it's way better and has more information. So looking into the future, how quickly we can make that happen is how quickly consumer behavior also starts to shift to that too, because consumers are using ChatGPT for this stuff today. It's just not great. Like I have a friend who's using ChatGPT to buy a car and he's uploading Carfax reports to it, right? Like that's the process you have to do because the information's not there.
Right.
As it gets there, as it gets integrated, like it's just gonna move faster and faster. So we're on a flywheel that's gonna move to that being like the standard for how you buy a car. And when that's happening, right? Like your ability to, again, like we were talking, like Zach from CarEdge was on stage yesterday at the AI Summit, and he's talking about AI agents buying cars, right? Like that's going to happen. And once that happens, it's a tipping point where all that information's out there now, right? So a lot of the things that used to work don't work anymore. I think dealers are going to have to compete in a different way on like providing the best process, providing the best long-term like relationship with consumers. I think that's what most dealers want anyway, right? So today is not 2014 when I started Autolist. It's not 2020. Like most of the dealers are operating in a way that's going to be great for AI. They just need to get their information out there and meet consumers where they are on these platforms.
Okay, great. So if we got some dealers that have tuned in and they're having this aha moment, like, oh, maybe I had better start paying attention to this, but I haven't taken any steps. I'm like taking the first step on the journey. What would you recommend to those dealers?
Well, call me. We'll spin up an MCP server for free for you. Like the way we work is, we want every dealership in the country to have this. And until it's used by AI, you don't pay anything for it. And we think everyone should have this and start learning about what's going on. So step one, and just start using ChatGPT too. Like ask ChatGPT about your dealership, see what it says. And the more questions you have, you give it, like see if you like the information that's coming back. So, like dealers can do a lot of great research themselves right now by just asking ChatGPT or Claude or Grok about their dealership.
That's great. So your vision for the company, if we fast forward 5 years and we're sitting here in 5 years, what has CarGenius become?
Yeah, are you familiar with Stripe?
I am.
Yeah, so Stripe is a technology company that manages a lot of the credit card processing that happens online. So you go to a store, you don't see Stripe's brand, you just check out and it's really easy, right? And I think what we strive to be is Stripe for automotive commerce inside of AI. Like we're not trying to compete with dealers or compete with AI agents. We're not building our own agent. We use the best model that's out there to make this work really, really well. And as those models come out, we use the next one and the next one and the next one, right? So we want to be behind the scenes, getting the entire industry in there and being the pipes that make it possible for consumers and dealers to act inside of AI.
Cool. A couple questions as we wrap here. One is, I always like to ask, if I could teleport you back in time and you could have half an hour coffee with your teenage self,
yeah,
what advice would you give yourself that you wish you had back then?
Get on the plane, right? Like I think this is the year of the human. Early in my career, I'm kind of a data guy. I'm an engineer. I like to sit behind a computer and solve problems, but get out and talk to people. And you end up figuring out you're solving the right problems with the right people when you get out there. And yeah.
Okay, great. You may have already answered this question because you mentioned gray Porsches, 911s, and a chalk color. But you'd also mentioned earlier in the conversation today that you are obsessed with cars and you like to get on Craigslist. Tell me the car that you wish you had bought, you had a chance to buy that you wish you had bought, or you owned and you gave up that you wish you owned today.
Wish I owned. I love my garage today. I have a Volvo XC90, which is the family hauler. I have a 2006 911 convertible, manual transmission, which is my baby. And then I have a minivan, which is the kid hauler, ski hauler. It's a great connection of everything. So I think I have range when it comes to cars. The one that got away.
It's not one you regret in life.
I had a Mustang GT. I just loved. It was a 2002.
Nice.
Again, just that solid rear axle. It was a lot of fun to drive. And I lived in Atlanta at the time.
Right.
And I would take it to the Road Atlanta.
Oh yeah, sure.
A little bit of driving there.
Yeah.
It's horrible. You wanted me out of there. You do not want that Mustang. But it was really fun. I do miss that. I miss that solid rear axle.
Very cool. For those folks that are out there, how do they get in contact with you?
Corey at CarGenius.ai. Corey at CarGenius AI. Would love to chat.
Good. Thanks, Corey. We appreciate making time.
Thanks, bud. Yeah.
Well, I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Greenfield. If you're a founder or investor in mobility and something here sparked an idea, I'd love to continue the conversation. Please subscribe to the Automotive Ventures Intel Report and reach out to me. I read every message and respond personally. We'll see you next time.